Check this out.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from the campus, Arizona State University, on Blaze Radio. And now, it's time. Here's Weston DeWitt.
Aha! Yes, it is. Welcome to the latest edition of the Weston DeWitt Show with Eliav Gabay here on Blaze Radio and streaming live on BlazeRadioOnline.com. It is September 18th, 2017. Welcome inside the Bill Austin Radio Studios in downtown Phoenix. Here with Mr. Seth Askelson. He's in the house today for sports updates. Harley, you're out, social media extraordinaire. He's in the house today. And of course, my co-host and producer, Eliav. How are we today, man? How you doing?
We are always fantastic. So much NFL to get into. WNBA finals are in place.
Yes.
MLB, things are heating up. Postseason right around the corner. And of course, Canelo, GGG, what went down? So much to get into. Let's do it.
Absolutely. Real quick, Eliav's coming in the studio today. He's coming in the studio today. He's doing his CSL anchoring today, but he comes in, he's got the suit, he's got the nice white collared shirt with the blue blazer and everything. Harley's got the blazer in here too. Both looking smoother today. Is that a new haircut? Harley, that's a new haircut. That looks good on you, man. That looks good on you. All right, let's dive into.
You look good too, buddy.
Thank you, Eliav. I'm flattered. Let's dive into some NFL. The first order of business is to talk about the Arizona Cardinals, who escaped and got lucky with a 16-13 victory over the Indianapolis Colts yesterday afternoon. Jacoby Brissett ended up starting for the Colts in place of Scott Tolzien, who looked dang near atrocious against the Rams. And Carson Palmer comes in, throws for 332 yards, and Phil Dawson kicks a game-winning field goal in overtime, which was thanks in large part to a Tyrann Mathieu interception. So when we look at this game, Eliav, the Cardinals got lucky, and there is no other way to sugarcoat it. There's no other way to say it. They just got flat out lucky. This was a team that came in flat-footed once again and played up against a weak team in the Indianapolis Colts who look almost lost without Andrew Luck on the field. There's no camaraderie whatsoever with the Colts.
Lost, not even almost.
Well, you're right. It is. It's just lost. Frank Gore, only 46 yards rushing, even though Jacoby Brissett did play A-OK, 216 yards passing, but obviously the biggest thing that stands out is the interception on the first play of overtime, which set up a game-winning field goal for the Cardinals. But also, what I wanted to point out was the running game for the Cardinals was much better than last week, obviously, against the Lions. Chris Johnson, who they brought in after David Johnson went down, and we will discuss that next. Chris Johnson comes in 44 yards rushing. Not the most stat bombing when you look at the when you look at the stats category. Kerwin Williams had 22 yards rushing, but both had relatively productive games in the backfield, giving Carson Palmer giving him a break because Carson Palmer, again, very inept passes, very flagrant passes all over the field.
19 of 36.
The dude is throwing behind Larry Fitzgerald. He's throwing behind Jaron Brown. Just nowhere. It's so inconsistent, Eliav. It's ridiculous.
I will give the Cardinals credit, though, because when you lose David Johnson, when you lose the guy that you were planning on him carrying you for this season, it takes a lot to bounce back mentally. And, I mean, they did that. They got the win against a Colts team that they better have won that game. Let's put it that way. But they did, and I give them credit for bouncing back after something like that, which is just awful to lose David Johnson for 2 to 3 months. And let's talk about that for a second.
So David Johnson is going to miss 2 to 3 months with wrist surgery. He posted a photo to social media yesterday, and thumbs up appeared to be he's always looking good and in shape, but he was in the scrubs in the bed, and he just had surgery. And so obviously the Cardinals brought in Chris Johnson. They also signed former ASU standout DJ Foster.
Yeah, good for him.
And he didn't see the field.
Former NFL Super Bowl champion.
He is a Super Bowl champion. That is correct. He is a champion. And so he didn't see the field yesterday, but for me, David Johnson, the number one player in fantasy football, one of the projected to easily rush for 1,000 yards this year. Such a force. He's like a locomotive coming at you. The dude posting videos of him squatting 500 pounds in the offseason, jumping out of pools. What the heck? This guy he's a freak of nature, just genetically a freak of nature. And with him in the backfield, especially Eliav, when you have a inept, inconsistent, and father time quarterback in Carson Palmer, and you have to be able to rely on your running back to take the pressure off of you. But now the pressure is still all on Carson Palmer, even though CJ2K is in the backfield. Kerwin Williams is a reliable option, but it's not like David Johnson. This is just to say this is a huge loss for the Cardinals would be a severe understatement.
No, this is struck doom. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs.
I don't either.
With him out. I mean, it's just too much. I mean, the rushing, like you said, the rushing is just 83 yards rushing, and that's probably consistently what we're probably going to see. Mm-hmm. You know, it's going to be real tough for them to get it going, or they'll impress everyone. Carson Palmer will actually find himself, and things will get done. But I don't see that happening, honestly.
No, and the Cardinals will now face the Dallas Cowboys on Monday Night Football a week from tonight.
Talk about a test.
In their home opener, too. So a national stage against quote-unquote America's team in front of Monday Night Football. It is going to be a interesting game because that game right there is going to be the make-or-break game that sets the Cardinals up for the rest of the season. Because you got a team, we'll get to the Cowboys in just a second, who just got shellacked, coming in front of a national stage. If you don't win this game, even if you don't win this game, it's going to be question marks, Eliav. And that's because your home opener against a team that just got beat badly will have a lot of momentum. Will not have a lot of momentum coming into the game.
Well, at the same time, I don't expect them to win that game. I expect the Cowboys to win that game.
Yeah, it's we'll discuss it on Monday. But
I don't I'd say they're the underdogs, even though it's their home opener. Yeah. Honestly, so it'll be interesting, but we will talk about it when the day comes.
The Green Bay Packers fell to the Falcons in an NFC Championship rematch, 34-23 on Sunday Night Football last night at that beautiful Mercedes-Benz Stadium. My God. What a stadium.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
The roof open. The circle scoreboard. Are you kidding me? Really? Oh, man. Couldn't get enough of that.
But no Chick-fil-A. But you can't eat Chick-fil-A.
That's a problem, dude. That's a problem. Somebody needs to speak to somebody about that. I don't know what's going on with that situation. Aaron Rodgers, 50 passing attempts, 343 yards passing, a QBR of 44. Not the greatest performance from Aaron Rodgers, but, because he's Aaron Rodgers and because he didn't have an offensive line.
I was about to say, the O-line didn't do anything for the guy. Didn't do anything for him.
In the third quarter, I believe it was the third quarter, but on the play that he threw a backwards pass, it was deemed a touchdown after the Falcons picked it up and ran it in for a touchdown. Do you notice how there were 4 Falcons swarming Aaron Rodgers? Nobody was even, the offensive lineman, nowhere even close to Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
Can we give him a break, please? Can we get the man some blocking, please? When the man has blocking, we know what he can do.
We know what he can do.
He's a champion. He's an MVP. He's arguably one of the best quarterbacks we've seen of this generation
ever.
And you can't give him that offensive line. And Ty Montgomery has filled the running back role admirably. He can also catch, and he can run. He's so versatile with the football and elusive. The way he runs is incredible. But let's focus on the Falcons now. We got Matt Ryan throwing 252 yards and a QBR of 79. Devontae Freeman, 2 touchdowns for Freeman. Tevin Coleman, 42 yards. Julio Jones going berserk again, 108 yards. The defense was stout for Atlanta, man. This Atlanta Falcons team, dude.
I felt great after watching that game when I picked them preseason to win it all. I mean, there's no reason for this team to lose. There's no real reason besides, regular sport, and you will lose at some point. But there's no reason in the postseason where they can't get it done. I mean, they've got the backs. Obviously, they have the receiver that they need. Obviously, they have that quarterback. Their defense is stout. I mean, this team has it all. man. They have it all. Coleman and Freeman, I mean, they were just having fun yesterday. Yeah. Fun, and it was just good to see. I mean, when you take care of the rushing, okay, let's just throw it up to Julio Jones.
Is he the best receiver in football?
I was thinking about that yesterday while I was watching the game, and I think it's fair to say, if not, yes, he's definitely top 3, top 2. I mean, of course, comes to mind OBJ, Antonio Brown,
Those are the obvious 3, yeah.
But I'd say yes.
Yeah, I do too.
I mean, we'll see how this season progresses, but he's right. I mean, if you disagree that he's number 1, he's top 3, no doubt.
Oh, of course. And looking at the Falcons' schedule, they got a relatively favorable schedule that falls in their way because they got the Lions next week, and they got the Bills, the Dolphins. Those are 3 games they're probably going to win. But then they run into the Patriots in that Sunday Night Football rematch of the Super Bowl.
That's going to be very fun to watch.
And I mean, just first looking at it, I'm going to take the Patriots to win because they're at home and it's Sunday Night Football. But then the Jets, the Panthers, and then they play the Cowboys, Seahawks, Bucks. The Falcons' schedule, it all is in their favor right now. Everything, all the signs are leaning to them going back to at least the NFC Championship, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, this team is going to be exciting to see how this actually goes for them. Of course, only week 2, so we'll see how this season actually ends up going. But at the end of the day, like I said, this Atlanta Falcons team is a force. So I'm gonna be excited to watch them.
Hey Harley, the Cowboys didn't look too good, did they? They lost to the Broncos yesterday, 42-17. Harley, what happened? What happened to the Cowboys?
I think the Cowboys defense was really exposed. I think and that was the thing. Everyone was talking about how great it was after the Giants game, and you come out and you let Trevor Siemian throw 4 touchdowns.
And it wasn't just that he threw 4 touchdowns to me, guys. He was gunslinging that football everywhere. Every one of his passes was just precise and right on point. Whether it was to Emmanuel Sanders or to Demaryius Thomas, I mean, even to Anderson or this kid Latimer. This dude was flinging the football left and right, and C.J. Anderson, 118 yards. Kind of helps when you got a nice backup, too, in Jamal Charles. The Broncos, wow. The Broncos in that stadium, home record, one of the best home records that goes back a long ways. That is a tough place to play. So kudos to the Broncos, but I think a lot of the things to focus on are the Cowboys, obviously, because the problem, gentlemen, is that Ezekiel Elliott ran for 8 yards yesterday. And it wasn't just 8 yards on a couple of carries. It was 9 carries, 8 yards for Ezekiel Elliott. And that right there, Eliav, you can't do that.
Well, yeah, no, that's all you really need to see about this game, but besides the defensive and offensively, I mean, when Zeke's not there the way he wasn't, which, again, that's going to happen. I don't want people to freak out, by the way. That's going to happen. You're not going to get the primetime superstar every single night, especially against a Denver defense as like they have. So I don't want to read into this too much, but the fact is, I mean, that's obviously a huge part of their offense. But Harley, I wanted to ask you, what did you see that just didn't click for him that game?
To me, it's the Dez Bryant Dak Prescott connection. Yeah, and it's both interceptions Dak threw were going to Dez. One went right off Dez's hands, and the other was probably an underthrown ball by Dak, and obviously Talib took that one for a touchdown. But Dak Prescott's completion percentage drops significantly when he targets Dez Bryant, and I don't know why exactly that is.
He was targeted.
Sometimes there's not chemistry, I guess.
Yeah.
Dez Bryant was targeted 16 times, guys. 7 catches. And Dak Prescott threw the ball 50 times. I don't think we saw that last year in a game. Mm-mm. I don't recall seeing Dak Prescott have to throw the football that many times. And then what do you have? 4 interceptions last year? He had 2 of them yesterday. So when you come in your sophomore campaign, your defense, more defenses and more teams got film on you. And, I mean, I'm not surprised to see Dak Prescott throw those interceptions, but I was just so surprised that the defense for Dallas was so lackluster. Just came in there, heads down. They seemed to just be dragging. I don't know if it was because of the altitude in Denver. I don't know if it was because of the situation with the Broncos coming in there and those fans are just hyped as could be. That is a tough place to play. I said it 5 minutes ago. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the deal was, but the defense they just had their heads down coming back to the bench like, no, we almost done here.
Yeah, I don't want to be that guy, but do you think it has anything to do with Zeke's situation? Do you think it has anything to do with that? Might be in the back of his mind. Again, I don't think it is. So I'm not trying to, again, I don't want to be that guy. But
No,
at
that's
the
a good
same
question,
time, it's
Eliav.
something
That's
to
a good
think
question.
about, right?
That's a good question. For Ezekiel, yes, obviously yes, that's a given. But for his team, good question. I wouldn't say his team. I would just say because this is a team like last year. Ezekiel Elliott wasn't in this hot water last year, but the Cowboys have always been. There's always been some running theme with the Cowboys that there are a lot of players always getting in trouble. Whether it is marijuana or whatever it is.
Stay off the weed.
Duh. And by the way, Stephen A. did say on his radio show, a caller called in and he said, and the caller was like, stay off the weed. And he was like, no. I'm the only one who gets to say that.
Oh, sorry, Stephen A. Copyright.
Our apologies. But I think that to answer your question again, it's just a running theme with this team. Whether it is domestic violence or marijuana or any kind of situation, it's just a very common running theme with the Cowboys. Would you agree, Harley? Like, would you agree with that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, completely.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Patriots, they beat the Saints, and they beat the Saints. Tom Brady, he's washed up. Clearly he's washed up, guys, because he threw for 447 yards and 3 touchdowns and a QBR of 91. After all, he is washed up after week 1. Everybody's been saying that.
I was about to say.
So
I was about to. He's back.
Oh,
I don't even want to say that because it's just annoying. But at the same time, okay, for all those haters, there you go.
The nerve that people have, just the disrespect toward Tom Brady just because of his age. The dude's the GOAT, guys. He's the GOAT, okay?
Literally.
Respect that man. I don't care if he's 50. I don't care if he's 60. Whatever. Respect the guy. But they beat the Saints 30-20. In large part was because the Saints defense is so atrocious. But it's also because we mentioned Tom Brady. Rob Gronkowski did go down with an injury. It appears that it's not going to be too serious, but this is a very common. This is becoming a common theme with Rob Gronkowski. And 116 yards and a touchdown, 9 targets.
Still balled out.
He always finds a way. Rob Gronkowski, no matter what the situation is, run, pass, block. That dude always has an impact on every play when it comes to the Patriots. And I'm not surprised at all when it comes to this greatness with Tom Brady. Coming back after all the doubt, he's washed up, he's finished. And coming back and shellacking the New Orleans Saints, I wasn't surprised.
You know what? With when it comes to Brady, you don't think that he can do new things in his career, but people don't realize this was the first time in his entire career that he threw 3 touchdowns in this first quarter. Like he's always bringing in something new. Always something. And talk about coming back from a lackluster performance in week 1. How about just open it up with 3 touchdowns?
Right.
Easy.
and it's also in large part because I mentioned the Saints.
Well, and they better have done that against the Saints defense. That's when I would have been worried. Mm-hmm. If he didn't perform at least decently against this Saints defense, that's what I would. What's happening? But no, definitely. He took advantage, and the numbers speak for themselves.
And by the way,
447 yards. Come on.
By the way, Adrian Peterson. So,
oh my God,
18 yards in his first game. Eliav, it was against the team that let him go. Yep. He went back to Minnesota in his first game, 6 carries for 18 yards. Yesterday, 8 attempts for 26 yards.
I believe the quote was something to the tune of, I didn't sign up for 9 carries a game.
Something like that. Yeah. And then there was
and then of course everyone saw the video. Of if you didn't see it, Adrian Peterson going back and forth with head coach of the Saints, and it's just kind of embarrassing that is already happening. Come on, are we all children here? Do you not know what needs to get done here, Adrian Peterson? There's a process that needs to go. You're probably not gonna be that guy.
No, and not
right
to mention, there's
bat.
Mark Ingram there too.
Yeah, Mark Ingram also didn't do a great job last game. He did okay. No, 52
Kamara
yards.
is also there. They got 3 good running backs there, but they're not a pass team.
Sean Payton and Adrian Peterson need to figure it out. Whatever they're not connecting on right now needs to be sorted out. I don't know if AP thought going in that he was going to be absolutely the guy, and I don't know what Payton gave him the impression of. But whatever it is, it needs to be sorted out, and I'm sure they will. They're grown men.
Yeah.
They could talk it out, and it's okay. Have a cup of tea about it. But at the same time, this can't be happening. You can't have, well, one of the biggest names on your roster go and be yelling at you from the sideline, you know?
There's some good restaurants in New Orleans, probably. Just take them, just go out to dinner, a nice steak dinner, have some tea, and just talk it out.
Yeah.
Just be grown men and talk about it. Very well said. The Kansas City Chiefs, they look good, and they beat the Eagles 27-20. And Mr. Can we talk about Alex Smith? 21 of 28.
The game manager.
Game manager, quote unquote. And that's one touchdown, a 50 QBR. But another player, can we also talk about Kareem Hunt?
Oh, my God. Whoa.
So
he's coming out of the box and making his name known fast.
So the Chiefs lost Jamal Charles. They lost West, their backup running back, West. He's gone. This kid comes out of nowhere. I mean, where's this kid from? I'm trying to pull it up. This kid, Kareem Hunt, rookie out of Toledo. And he was a third-round pick. This dude coming in, he's looking like the second coming at CJ2K when he was in his prime. And the Eagles had no answer for this guy, whether it was running the ball or receiving. It was only 81 yards, but 2 touchdowns. But what a lightning bolt he is out there for the Chiefs.
And then him along with, obviously, Travis Kelce, just doing work on his end. You know, from the TV show to the field, he never stops.
I'm not going to delve into the TV show. You brought it up. But, someone who's watching
Mistakes were made.
So, I'm going to let it go. So Travis Kelce, 103 yards, as you mentioned, but also cool.
And a beautiful TD.
That's, the hurdle. Woo!
Leaping.
That dude's something special. Him and his brother also got together at the end of the game and center for I believe it's, I forgot his first name, but essentially his brother is the center for the Eagles. And nice little jersey exchange there after the game. But as it pertains to the Eagles, real quick. Yeah, it's the Eagles. But dinner's on you, Jason. That's his brother. But the Eagles, this game, Carson Wentz was relatively pedestrian. 25 of 46 passing, 333 yards. That's not pedestrian. But the running game really was nowhere for the Eagles yesterday. And the defense, I think the big thing yesterday for the Eagles, the big plays that the Eagles had to make, they didn't make them. They were relatively consistent yesterday, but there were big plays in that game that they didn't make, and that's why they lost the game.
Seahawks 49ers. Ugh. Toilet bowl.
I just put my a 12. What do you think of the
game? He can't muster up the words.
No, I can't because.
Let's put it this way: another 3 sacks on Russell Wilson. Again, the guy just having a tough time getting his groove going, and not his fault in that way.
It's the offensive line, dude.
Yeah.
It's also because it's not so much the 12-9. It's not so much the 12-9. It's so much that you played the 49ers. And Brian Hoyer is the quarterback.
Yeah.
That's the problem, Eliav.
But the LOB, Legion of Boom, is doing their job.
No,
they're doing their job. They've been doing their job, honestly. I mean, the offense just needs to get it together. I'd like to see more, honestly, out of, Doug Baldwin. I want to see.
No, he needs to step up.
Yeah, I definitely would like to see a little bit more from, CJ Prosise. I thought he showed a lot of flashes last year of something that could be special, and it just hasn't been too much.
No, and Prosise didn't even run the ball yesterday. It was all Chris Carson, 93 yards, and
which is also surprising to me.
Yeah, like the running back situation since Marshawn Lynch left, no consistency. Whether it was Rawls, Prosise, Carson. Figure it out.
Well, the 49ers are living and breathing on the success of Carlos Hyde.
That's true. That's true.
If he's running well, then they'll do well. But if not, it's going to be a long night for San Fran.
As much as I can't muster it up the way, when I described, I do want to give credit to the 49ers defense because they played a good game. The defense played a good game yesterday for the 49ers. But the problem is when you sell your franchise on a quarterback. And when it's Brian Hoyer, you can't do that. Whether it's any franchise whatsoever. I don't care what franchise it is, Eliav. You can't sell your franchise on Brian Hoyer. And that kind of quarterback. You cannot do it at all.
Stop being a bonehead.
It's time for Weston's Bonehead of the Week. Apologize for the technical difficulties. We'll get that up. We are going to do Bonehead of the Week. coming up here. But this week for Bonehead a week this week, let's go out to the Toronto Blue Jays in the Rogers Center, and we're gonna look at Mr. Darwin Barney here. So what happened was Barney hits a shot. Hits a shot right up the right field gap. And what happened was he stopped at second base. He kind of ran back. He didn't know whether he wanted to go to third or not. Kind of ran there, came back, kind of flying. Was like, what are you gonna do? Then he ends up running to third base. So I got the video right in front of me. He's coming, he's running into third base, and he slides, just completely eats it, face plants into the dirt, and he was eventually called safe.
Awkward.
But just a face plant into the dirt, and just
kind of crawling over.
Yeah, he literally he was crawling to the base. Just see this right there. There's so many things happening in baseball right now. Last week was Ian Happ. Just the funniest things. You never know what to expect.
It's almost postseason time. Everyone's getting all the jitters out now.
Darwin Barney, and not to mention, this is not to throw, but Darwin Barney's it's his last name, Barney. We think of Barney the dinosaur when we were all kids. That's just every time I look at Darwin Barney, that dude he's something else. He's very versatile in the infield, but kind of a messy play. It was a very messy play where he just face planted into the dirt. He is this week's Bonehead of the Week. Weston DeWitt Show with Eliav Gabay here on Blaze Radio and streaming live on BlazeRadioOnline.com. Coming up next, we are going to talk some college football because ASU, they almost pulled a sweet comeback, but we also need to discuss about Clemson and some other college football topics. Stay tuned. You're listening to the Weston DeWitt Show with Eliav Gabay on Blaze Radio and streaming live on BlazeRadioOnline.com. Don't go anywhere. Boom. Beautiful. Leonard Skinner. That right there. Boom, boom. That part. Oh, love it. Love it. Welcome back to the Weston DeWitt Show with Eliav Gabay here on Blaze Radio, 1330 a.m. and streaming live on BlazeRadioOnline.com. Thank you for starting your Monday off here on a high note with us. Let's dive into some college football because Arizona State, they put up a really, really good fight out there at Jones AT&T Stadium on Saturday night against the Texas Tech Red Raiders. And we all remember what happened last year when these two teams got together because Kalen Ballage just went berserk for 7 touchdowns, just absolutely nuts. Wasn't like that on Saturday, but still a very well played, in my opinion, a well played game by Arizona State, especially in that comeback. In the second half, during that comeback, they came back
specifically the second half.
The first quarter. 21-3, they got shellacked. Shimonek for Texas Tech threw for 553 yards and 6 touchdowns. We do know that the air raid offense is what defines Texas Tech University.
Oh, yeah.
And their running game, obviously, really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, their running game, but, Kuti had 186 yards receiving for Texas Tech. But let's focus more so about Arizona State. So, Manny Wilkins, 326 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. On the stats, looked good.
Yeah, he looked all right.
Kalen Ballage and Demario Richard, there was a signing of both of them. Both ran for 56 yards for Ballage, 53 for Richard. Both did have a touchdown. And N'Keal Harry showed up. He had 148 yards receiving for 13 receptions.
N'Keal was there every time ASU needed him. And I don't understand how they don't go to him more. Game in, game out. He is the best player on that team.
He is.
He is the guy. You need to find him. He's going to the NFL. He is a monster. You need to get him going anytime you get a chance. And you saw it against Texas Tech. He was there anytime they needed a big play. He was there.
And it's no disrespect to Kyle Williams or Jalen Harvey because those guys are good.
Or John Humphrey when he's healthy.
Yeah, or John Humphrey. Or Ryan Newsome. But you can't. When you have a guy, we talked about David Johnson as a physical specimen. To me, N'Keal Harry is very similar in a sense that he is a guy, when you show up and you look at him, you just look at him, and the way he is built, his definition, his body, he symbols just a truck coming at you, and he can run, he can leap, he has the hands to do it. You mentioned it. We didn't even talk about this before. N'Keal Harry's going to the NFL. And for this guy, 13 receptions. The first 2 games, they needed to get him involved in those 2 games. If N'Keal Harry had been more involved, they would have had a better chance against San Diego State.
I'll tell you what, Rob Warner actually told me this stat while we were watching the game. Shout out to him. I'll tell you, a producer of Running with the Pack, by the way, with Braden Bell and Killian McClatchy, Blaze Radio, other show, plugs. But anyway, credit to him because he told me it's never taken, N'Keal Harry has not been brought down by one guy. It's taken more than one player at a time to take him down this season, which is just an awesome stat that just makes sense because he is, like you said, he is that much of a monster. Mm-hmm. And I mean, just go to him more. Just go to him more. What we saw last game could be what he can do every single game, and then everything else can be pluses. I understand that ASU is a running offense primarily, but at the end of the day, you have to realize who your receivers are. And when N'Keal Harry is out there, you better find him. Mm-hmm. Simple as that.
How do we feel about Todd Graham today? Because last week, we were like, we're done with this guy. And I'm sure there are plenty of fans the world over who still feel the same way. But the comeback, putting up a really good fight in that tough crowd out there, and the weather conditions weren't the greatest. But how do we feel about Todd Graham today?
Well, I'll tell you what. It's less about how the game went and more about the feel of this season. This team simply does not have an identity. The defense is no better. The offensive line cannot help their quarterback. It's been a really rough go. And the thing that stands out the most to me is that there's no improvement at all in any part of this team. It's only been negative.
I agree.
So to me as head coach, what's wrong here? What do you need to change? What's not going right in the locker room? Somewhere. Something needs to change. Even by the slightest, there needs to be an adjustment. A lot of adjustments, but definitely.
I mean, do you notice just how much quieter and much just more kind of solemn just the mood gets when we're talking about Arizona State, guys? You notice how the mood is just like significantly fallen. But it's just because of the attitude and the mentality of this team. Something's got to change. You said it. I'm just repeating. You just said it. Something needs to change. The Clemson Tigers, they took care of business against Louisville. And and Louisville came in number 14 ranked in this game. They were playing at home, and they were coming off the heels of Lamar Jackson balling out against North Carolina.
What's new?
And I was very disappointed with Lamar Jackson on Saturday because that game, I wanted to see, I was expecting to see Lamar Jackson come out there and do what Lamar Jackson always does. I don't want to dispute his copy box numbers, which is 317 yards passing for 64 yards rushing. But at the same time, you got to put some blame on the defense. Obviously, when you give up 47 points, that doesn't go unnoticed. But also, Lamar Jackson you got it. When you're in a big time moment like that, that is not just a moment for your season. That is also a moment for your Heisman Trophy candidacy. And you had to go out there and ball against a top 3 team in Clemson. I was disappointed with Jackson. I just was.
I'll tell you what, I think it's less, I was not disappointed in Jackson as much as you're talking about a team versus a player that has a team with him.
Yeah.
With the Clemson Tigers, I mean, they're an unbelievable squad. Like their defense is so good. It's
impressive.
It's so good. They just play together so well. I mean, just look at their rushing. 98 yards from Travis and then 92 yards from Feaster. I mean, each.
A total of 297 yards rushing.
Wow. That's what I'm talking about. And then on the receiving end, you got McLeod getting 115 yards. So you have a team here. Yeah. When you have Samuel on the receiving end getting 100 yards, which is great for Louisville, but then their leading rusher is Lamar Jackson himself, which is that's his play style, of course. Yeah. But at the same time, we're talking about playing a great team in Clemson, so it's tough to judge. But At the same time, you're right, and they're going to be looking at this game as a reference for that Heisman. Mm-hmm. So we'll see.
And, when you're playing against Clemson, you mentioned it, the complete package, defense, rushing, passing, receiving. Clemson is the package. And whenever you're going to beat Clemson, you got to bring every facet of your game in every way, shape, and form to the best of its ability.
Yep.
The USC Trojans, in a rematch with Texas, the last time these two teams played, I think we all remember this. Vince Young, very nice, scrambling out into the corner of the end zone and riding off into the sunset with the Texas Longhorns, winning the Rose Bowl.
And becoming a bust.
That is disappointing, man. That dude was something else in college. To see him, that's really disappointing.
Well, hamstring injuries will get to you.
And it happens. But back to the game, 27-24. That close of a game, ladies and gentlemen. And it was at the Coliseum. USC was at home. And Sam Darnold did throw for 397 yards. And USC did look good. But Texas put up a dang good fight as well, because Ellinger, 298 yards passing, QBR 27. That does not help his case. But Texas defense came to play and led by Anthony Wheeler, 5 solo tackles, 12 total tackles, Jefferson 11. Texas, a lot of people, there's so many. I think Texas is probably one of the most, if not the most, pressurized school in the entire country, because there are so many facets that come along with Texas college football. And Tom Herman coming in and losing to Maryvale in your first game to give an impression that this is the season that you're going to have, you can not do that. And I don't think this adds more pressure for Texas. This is just more so about USC sneaking it out. And Sam Darnold, no questions asked. He's just fine. But Texas, dude, they put up a good fight. They did. I got to give them credit to that.
Well, I also want to give credit to the freshman walk-on kicker for USC, Chase McGrath, for hitting the game winner.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how you get a scholarship right there. That is how you earn it. You make a game winner like that, there you go.
Yeah, and the question, one thing that I'm thinking about
saving
is
embarrassment.
Does this make you think differently about USC moving forward, especially when USC comes here to play Arizona State? That's probably not going to be a pretty game. But when looking forward, because we got Clemson, Alabama, and USC, those are the three teams I think about. And when it comes to further on down the line, are we going to look at this game and go, man, they struggled against Texas? I think we're going to look at that and go, well, that's a red flag. At home against Texas?
When they play the elite teams, yeah. But or we can learn about this USC team is that they might play to the level of their opponent, which isn't always good, but sometimes is okay when let's say your opponent is Clemson or your opponent is, I don't know, Washington. If you can play to their level, that's okay. But at the same time, you don't want to be swayed always by the performance of your opponent.
Do we remember San Diego State coming in last week and beating up on Arizona State? Well, they pulled an upset yesterday, and they beat Stanford 20-17. This kid, Rashad Penny, he's at it again. 175 total yards rushing. Chapman, 187 yards, dude. San Diego State, I wouldn't go as far as to say they're contenders for a big bowl game, but I think San Diego State has a chance to, they're in the Mountain West Conference. I think they're easily going to win the Mountain West. But I think this team's special, dude, especially after we saw last week, granted, against Arizona State. But going against Stanford,
yeah.
They shut down. Dude, Keller Christ, 9 of 20 yards passing, and then Ryan Burns had an 8-yard pass, 80 total yards passing for Stanford yesterday. Really?
Yeah. No. San Diego State's defense has been holding it down for them. And on the other end, you said it. There's only one word, penny, that you need to know about this team. And then that's simple. It's simple as that. This guy is so dominant. And that's all you really need to know about this team right now.
Right. The AP released their top 25 rankings. And before we're going to talk about this before we take a break here on the show. Alabama stays at number 1. Clemson slides up to number 2. Oklahoma does drop to number 3 after they were number 2. Penn State at number 4. USC drops to number 5. Oklahoma State catapults up to number 6. And then Washington at 7. Michigan at 8. Wisconsin 9. And Ohio State at 10.
I don't have any big, I don't disagree too badly with this. This is pretty accurate, I'd say, overall.
No, I still think Alabama and Clemson are in a collision course for the national championship for the trilogy.
I'd love that.
Oh.
I'd love to see that. I know a lot of people want to see it, new stuff, something, but I'd love to see a rematch.
I think everybody would, and I don't think anybody can dispute that. Not at all, unless you're an Oklahoma fan, Penn State fan, USC fan, or any of those teams I just mentioned. The Weston DeWitt Show with Eliav Gabay here on Blaze Radio and streaming live on blazeradioonline.com. We're going to take your calls next, guys. 602-496-5156 is always the number to call up. Once again, that's 602-496-5156. Stay tuned. You're listening to The Weston DeWitt Show with Eliav Gabay here on Blaze Radio and streaming live on blazeradioonline.com. Do not go anywhere. Good beat right there.
Swing a little,
Hot in here.
Oh my God. Why would you have to? Why do you butcher it?
What? Really? Disrespect. Disrespect, man. And we here at Weston DeWitt, we're very nice to each other, but the disrespect when it comes to that topic, it's disrespectful, gentlemen.
It is what it is.
It's disrespectful. It just is. 602-496-5156 is always the number to call up. Once again, that's 602-496-5156.
And we already have our first, duo callers. The boys from Running with the Pack, Killian McClatchy and Braden Bell.
Both of them. Braden and Joe, what's up?
It's a combo. It's a combo meal.
What's on your mind, guys?
Well, you've got the first.
All right, I'll toss the question. I know you talked about the old Sun Devils there. And I posed this question. I know we all there was a big group of us that got together and watched the game. And I posed a question to everybody. Do you think this Arizona State football team, they're bottom 5 in the is out of the Power 5 conferences? Is that out of the question?
That is not out of the question. When we actually, I was with you guys, of course, when we started listing off the teams, because at first it sounds ridiculous. But then when you actually start listing off the teams, it's like, oh, maybe actually. Yeah. Well, I don't know. What do you think, Weston?
But the Pac-12, see, we obviously, the first team that I think about at the bottom is Oregon State. Like, that's the team I think about at the bottom. But then you got, when you look at the other teams, UCLA, Arizona, Stanford, they're at the bottom right now, California. But at the bottom 5, no, I don't think that's completely that. No, absolutely not.
In all of Power 5, potentially. Who do you guys have in mind for the bottom 5, excuse me?
Bottom 5, I mean, I think of course, Oregon State, that's number 1 right there. Kansas number 2. Virginia from the ACC, and there was one more. Baylor, I think we were talking about.
We talked Baylor. Yeah. Oh, and Rutgers.
Right.
I was just looking at the Pac-12. Okay,
Power 5
Power
conference.
5.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I was looking at the Pac-12.
I was thinking about that 5th one when we were talking about. I forgot about Rutgers. Yeah, definitely. And then Kansas, But here's another question. I'll throw it back to you guys. Where is ASU on that 5?
They would be the 5th. They are not. They would beat Rutgers. They are not. They're not the worst.
They're not the worst. But they're definitely at lower tier if you watch how they play. I mean,
this is off topic, but do we sound the same when we talk? I feel like we do.
At times, definitely. Harley's nodding his head.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I feel like
Put some more distinction in your voice, Braden.
I'm sorry. Hey, I'm sorry. I'm going to plug real quick for those who listen. Saturday, Arizona State, Oregon. Weston will be out, so I'll be running the broadcast. It's going to be a great call.
Oh, yeah.
Here on GoOnline.com. So listen to that. And thank you guys for having us on the show.
Yeah, for real.
Absolutely. Joe, Braden, you guys, what is there to say about these two guys, Eliav?
We love them.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Love you guys. See you soon.
See you, boys.
Yeah, see you, boys. Let's talk about Eliav's something very near and dear to Eliav's heart, which is Kobe Bryant, because the Los Angeles Lakers announced a few days ago that, I was on Monday, that Kobe Bryant is getting both, not one, both of his numbers 8 and 24 retired. I'm going to take a back seat to this. I think Kobe Bryant is, listen, guys. Kobe Bryant's an 18-time All-Star. He's a 5-time champion. He is just the modern day era. The first person I think about is Kobe Bryant. And this guy, to have both numbers retired, he deserves it in every facet. I'm going to step back from the mic. Eliav, take the floor.
I mean, if there's any question if he deserves it, when he can talk about, both, no, you should have just taken one. The simple fact is, if you grew up in LA, there's no way you could picture anyone else wearing that number 8 jersey ever.
No.
It's as simple as that. So even if it wasn't officially retired, there's no way Magic and that Laker organization lets anyone wear that number anyway. So you might as well retire both, because let's just split up his careers into both jersey numbers. Okay, let's just cut it right down the middle, right? Number 8, Kobe Bryant. We know he had Shaq with him. We know he was a young buck, won the slam dunk competition over there with number 8. 8-time All-Star, 4-time All-NBA, 3-time NBA champion. That's just number 8. All right. And of course, number 8 dropped 81, had all those scoring records. I mean, it just did so much on a not only on a team level, with of course with Shaq, if you want to discredit him, fine. On a personal level, absolutely dominated. Mm-hmm. So him alone, number 8, would be a Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Let's go number 24. Battle tested, a better leader, still a dog. 10-time All-Star, 7-time All-NBA, 2-time NBA champion, and this time he got them Finals MVPs with him too. And he finally got that MVP. So, I mean, we have 2 different, let's say, players, 24 and 8, who are both Hall of Fame worthy. And I don't think there's a question when you look at the achievements, the numbers. I mean, there's not a conversation. And this guy absolutely deserves it. I want to mention something that was funny that he talked about actually on social media. He said that it was hilarious when people were calling him GOAT, the GOAT, greatest of all time. But his daughter didn't understand that. She turned around and she was like, "That's rude." And Kobe was like, "What would She's like, "They're calling you a GOAT."
Okay.
Now, back to seriousness a little bit. No, I mean, he deserves it. Growing up in LA, I mean, everyone is just infatuated with him. Everyone knows everything he's done for this organization, for that city. Jeannie Buss laid it out. There's no question anyone deserves it more than him. And he's put on the treatment that he deserves. I think it's simple as that.
If you we mentioned the comparisons between number 8 and number 24. When you look at those stats, when he wore number 8, that's an 8-time All-Star, 4-time All-NBA, 3-time champion. That's a Hall of Famer in and of itself right there. Mm-hmm. And then on the other end, 10-time All-Star, that's a Hall of Famer in and of itself right there. So anybody to dispute, he has 2 numbers, that you don't deserve 2 numbers, like, look at the facts. Just look at the facts. And look at the impact that Eliav mentioned. I didn't grow up in LA. You did, Eliav. You saw what this guy did for the LA Lakers and that organization. You were there. You saw it. All I did was see it on TV. And I could even tell watching it from TV what this dude was doing for the city of Los Angeles and for that Lakers organization. That right there speaks volumes. Kobe Bryant, mad respect for you, sir. 602-496-5156 is always a number to call up. Let's transition to this list that ESPN.com released, and Eliav's laughing already, but, so they do this every year. They release a top 100 players every single year. So let's look at number 1. Obviously, they ranked number 1, number 10. Let's start from 10 down 1. 10 was Draymond Green. 9, Giannis Antetokounmpo. 8 was James Harden. 7 was Chris Paul. Yes, you heard that. 6 was Anthony Davis. 5 was Russell Westbrook. 4 was Steph Curry. 3 was Kawhi Leonard. 2 was Kevin Durant, and obviously number 1, LeBron James.
Now, let's pull it back a little bit to the full top 100. First of all, Dwayne Wade was not even on the list.
What?
Dwayne Wade was not on the list.
Are you joking?
Nope.
What?
And on top of that, as much as Lonzo Ball put on an incredible Summer League performance, as much as Markelle Fultz is bound to be ridiculous, as much as Ben Simmons is his social media in his eye, he's already a 10-time All-Star. As much as Joel Embiid wants to think that he is already the best player in the world, these guys do not deserve the spots they got. I mean, how did Melo drop 30 spots?
That's another thing I had a problem with.
To 64. Listen, I'm not going to say that Melo he's not top 25 anymore.
No, he's not.
But to say top 70?
And it's no disrespect to Lonzo Ball, but Lonzo Ball should not be ahead of him.
No, none of them. But they just haven't played a game, dude. I understand there's a point where you want to project, but there's also a disrespect. Who else was in front of Melo? Robert Covington. Isaiah Thomas was.
This is a joke.
I think Isaiah Thomas was 35, number 35. Joel Embiid was 31. DeMar DeRozan was, I believe, 38.
How do you feel about this?
So I just don't. You know what? Forget all the high ones. Forget all the high numbers. Okay, let's just talk about the straight up top 10. Right?
Good.
That's all I need to base it off of. Really, Draymond Green, totally top 10. I agree. Giannis Antetokounmpo, okay. James Harden, number 8. Did we watch the same season as what?
Nobody.
James Harden, number 8. No. Chris Paul is going to be his sidekick, and he's ahead of him by 1. I mean, you already know ESPN did that on purpose. The up by 1 guys, you already know that's all to create this little conversation that we're having. Anthony Davis, fine, I'll give it you number 6, even though, I think that he had not as good of a season as he could have. Russell Westbrook behind Steph Curry. Listen, Steph Curry is a monster. Steph Curry is amazing. He's a champion, and he deserves to be top 5. He is not supposed to be in front of Russell Westbrook. Not at all.
I agree. This is it.
And then Steph Curry, number 4, you said Kawhi Leonard. Here, the only 3 people that I would put in front of Russ are Kawhi, KD, and LeBron. The top 3 they got right.
Yeah, they did.
But just this top 10, I mean, top 10 should be relatively simple after top 5. If you were to give me James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Steph Curry, Kawhi Leonard, KD, LeBron in some type of order, that's okay. But the way they put Russell Westbrook, that's okay if they put Russell Westbrook in front of Steph. And probably James Harden in front of Steph. Because I wonder what they're weighing here. Yeah, you can weigh winning, but at the same time, you want to weigh what this guy did for his team. And Steph Curry, as great as he is and is definitely the superstar that he is, I can't agree that in an NBA rank that he's above Russell Westbrook and James Harden. James Harden, they just disrespected completely.
See, here's the deal, Eliav. We need to move on. But this list, we know what's going. This was just. I'm literally in shock, Eliav, when you said Dwayne Wade is not on this list. Let's move on.
Okay. Russell Westbrook, we just talked about him. Inks 10-year Jordan Brand extension. That's deserving.
That is deserving, yes.
Jordan did a good job locking him down because he's the persona you want. He's got the style. He's got the energy. He's got the stardom now. He's got the whole package. So locking him down is a great idea for the 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, not too much to say about that. Basically, good for him.
No, exactly.
Congratulations. You earned that, Russ.
And it's going to be close, $150 to $200 million. So this dude, I mean, we all talk about it. He's the complete package. He's an assassin, 31 points per game, 10 rebounds per game, 10 assists per game, walking triple-double. First player since Oscar Robertson since 61-62 to average a triple-double the entire season. Give that man his money. Respect all the way around. WNBA Playoffs, Eliav. Man.
Called it.
You did. And the Los Angeles Sparks, they beat the Mercury, and the Minnesota Lynx beat the Mystics. So once again, we have ourselves a Sparks and Lynx final. Game 1, the 24th, that is a Sunday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC. Who you got, Eliav? Let's talk.
Man, it's gonna be a great series once again. I mean, of course, you got Maya Moore. But now you have the MVP on the other side. Last year, you had Neko Gumuke as the MVP for the Sparks, and they walked away with it in her championship-winning shot. And then now you have Cynthia Fowles as the MVP this year.
Yeah.
On the other side for the Lynx to go along with Maya Moore. But I'll say this. Candace Parker. Woo-wee.
She steps up, dude.
This month, she has been dominating. Talking August to September, you could tell she's battle tested and a champion because she's heating up at the perfect time.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to her, you just gotta respect the fact that she knows when to turn it on. And at this time, I mean, she's done already so many things in this postseason that no WNBA player has done before.
No. And listen, the Sparks and the Lynx, last year, we were all like, okay, this isn't, I mean, we were excited for this matchup, but based off of the rematch that we saw last year, that's what makes this so more compelling. This rematch, it's very similar. Like Clemson, Alabama last year, we had ourselves the first match, and then it was a rematch last year. It was the same thing this year. Sparks, Lynx, two teams that are both better than last year too. That's what makes this even more compelling. These two teams are better than last year. That's what makes this so compelling for me, Eliav.
That's a great point. They're both at another level. They both wanted to be here so bad. 2 sweeps in the semifinals. No drama, Weston. No drama, no question marks.
It's a cakewalk.
They knew they're going to be right back here, same time, same place. It's time to play some ball. Like that's just that you love to see that. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to add some context to what I meant by Candace Parker has done something that no other NBA player WNBA player has done in a playoffs. Okay. And it starts off with her performance in how spread she does what she does. I mean, she had in this game 2 of the semifinals, 24 points, 13 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 blocks. There has never been a WNBA player, excuse me, my tongue is just not helping me right now. This WNBA player that has had that stat line. She was only the 5th WNBA player to have the 20 plus points, 10 plus assists in game 3. And you know what? Top it all off with a game-winning layup to take the series and go straight back to the finals. She is in finals MVP form right now, Weston.
I agree.
And that's why I'm picking the Sparks. Because Candace Parker is looking like she is zeroing in on that back-to-back.
So I went, because I wanted to disagree and we could have a nice little verbal back and forth, but I can't. The Los Angeles Sparks, the level that Candace Parker is playing, that Eliav so eloquently just stated to you guys, that's the reason right there. Gabay, what is that? I mean, that shot, I mean...
She's a sidekick right now.
Yeah, like,
that's how good...
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
When your MVP last year is a sidekick, you cannot pick against them. You can't. No. I don't care how... I mean, Maya Moore's great. Minnesota's great. You can't pick against it. Can't do that.
And on top of all of this, you have Elena Beard on their starting 5. Defensive Player of the Year. Let's move on to the WNBA awards now.
Yeah. She's
Defensive Player of the Year. All right. You got Odyssey Sims, who does her work. All right. You got Chelsea Gray, who is a beast of her own. I mean, just every player on that roster, not to say that the Lynx are right there with them. Yeah. That's why this is going to be such a fun series.
Exactly.
But I'm going to go with the Sparks. Wow. I want to say 5, but oof.
I'm going to say the Sparks in 4. So I got the Sparks winning in 4.
I'm going to say Sparks in 5. I want to see another dramatic...
Are we going to see another game-winning shot like last year?
Oh, I'd love to. So just for the fact of wanting that again and showing everyone that WNBA is legit and this competition is real and it's fun and it's exciting and you want to be here for that and watch that, Game 5. All right, really quick, WA season awards before we go out. Most valuable player, Sylvia Fowles. Elena Beard, Defensive Player of the Year. Sugar Rogers, 6th Woman of the Year. Most Improved Player, Jonquel Jones. Coach of the Year, Kurt Miller of the Connecticut Sun. All defensive teams now. Elena Beard, Tina Charles, Sylvia Fowles, Nneka Ogwumike, and Jasmine Thomas, all first team, all defensive. Now, this is going to be fun. I'm ready. No. Buckle up.
This is must-watch television, guys. You have to watch this stuff.
All right, now, Eliav's soft spot of the week. Here it is.
Can we cue the soft music? Sometime we got to cue it.
So,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Got married this weekend.
How cute.
Very adorable. Brooklyn Nets player. But this is what the soft spot was. His now wife, Jessica AC, tweeted, and you can go check it out on her Twitter or mine. I retweeted it as well. She said, the progression. And you have the pictures of Quincy right before he sees his bride coming down the aisle. First, it's all him, looking all tough with the big beard, he's suited with a nice tuxedo. Then
And he looked good, man.
yeah, he looked good. Yeah, you see him smiling with his friends, getting ready. Then the next picture is her coming down the aisle. Picture after that, tears coming down his face. I mean, that is just adorable. You gotta love the love, and just so cute, man. Just so cute. I had to put it in for this one. I had to.
That's too cute, man. Quincy, and by the way, a similar reaction. Brooks Like, NHL player, he married Julianne Hough a few months ago, and there was a video that came out because his back was turned. Then Julianne Hough came right behind him, showed up. He turned around. Oh, just jumped up and down, dude. Those reactions. There needs to be some kind of compilation on YouTube with those kind of clips. That would be hilarious. The Weston DeWitt Show with Eliav Gabay here on Blaze Radio and streaming live on blazeradioonline.com. We got a lot of baseball to discuss next segment. Stay tuned. You're listening to the Weston DeWitt Show with Eliav Gabay here on Blaze Radio and streaming live on blazeradioonline.com. Don't go anywhere. Snoop Dogg. Yes. Woo! Weston DeWitt Show with Eliav Gabay here on Blaze Radio and streaming live on blazeradioonline.com. Thank you for starting your Monday off here on a high note with us, as you always do. Let's transition to the Diamond. The Cleveland Indians, the Indians were just taking names and kicking butt, dude.
The Windians.
Getting it done. And their Twitter handle, shout out to whoever runs the Cleveland Indians Twitter account, give him a raise. That dude that's as creative as it gets when it comes to that Twitter account. But the Indians, the streak did end against the Kansas City Royals at 22 games. They lost 4-3. They did come back and win the rest of the series, won the last 2 games. Now they go back to Los Angeles, They travel to Los Angeles to take on the Angels for a series. And the Indians they're actually now the prohibited favorites out of Vegas to win the World Series. So the Cleveland Indians, I've said this last week, I still think the Indians and the Cubs are on a collision course for the World Series. The Indians are just, even when they're losing, even that loss that the Indians had when they lost to the Royals, the Indians are playing fun, clean, crisp baseball. And that's the kind of baseball that you have to play come October. We know about the production. We know that pitching has to come through. We know the bullpen has to come through. But you got to play precise baseball. You got to be swinging at the right pitches. You got to be taking good counts, driving up pitchers' counts. And the Indians are doing everything that way.
And this is, like you said, this is the perfect time to do it. I mean, the fact that they're getting this hot right now should be scaring the entire league.
Yeah.
Because all that matters in baseball, honestly, is who's the hottest at this time. And, I mean, you said it right there. They're just doing everything perfectly that when postseason comes around, they're going to be really feeling it.
Dude.
And, I mean, and the way they've been winning these two, the way they've been winning this by grinding them out, grinding some of these wins out that have just been so impressive. Oh, man, this is going to be a fun postseason.
I don't think I've been this excited for a postseason because there are so many, like the Astros, and we're going to talk about the Astros in just a second, but the teams that are in the playoffs this year are just, there are so many storylines from the Indians to the Dodgers, and let's talk about the Dodgers. Maybe we could say they've kind of snapped out of their funk a little bit. They won 4 straight. They beat the Giants 5-3. Then they finished the series and beat the Giants 4-1 to win the series. Then they won the first 2 games in Washington, and one of those wins was a 7-0 win, and that was Mr. Alex Wood, who was on the mound. He pitched 6 scoreless innings, 1 walk, and 8 strikeouts. Alex Wood, we raved and just ranted about Alex Wood in the first episode and just what he's done. 15-3 with a 2 ERA. With him and Kershaw at that rotation, I think the Dodgers are back on track, dude. I think that the Dodgers are going to, they're going to have that postseason mentality of this is what's happened with us in the past. But Dave Roberts, I trust Dave Roberts. After what I saw last year from Dave Roberts in the postseason, I trust the Dodgers moving forward. Do I trust them to make the World Series? No, I don't. But I'm excited to see what the Dodgers can do in the postseason.
What did I say last episode? I said that this Giants series is going to be pivotal.
You did.
They're not a good team that you obviously hate if you're the Dodgers, and beating them no matter what is getting that momentum, and that's exactly what happened. Not saying they went on a huge streak, but they got out of their funk. which was the most important thing.
Yeah.
And now, when you see what they're going to be able to do moving forward, even though they just lost 7-1 to the Nationals, they beat the Giants back-to-back and then the Nationals back-to-back. They're getting it going, which, again, is the most important part. As long as you can get it going, that's all that matters. Find that groove.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like they're beginning to find it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all that matters. And we'll see where this can take them.
Absolutely. The Diamondbacks' magic number is 6. And they got a when you look at the schedule for the Diamondbacks, they have San Diego on their schedule, and they got Miami on their schedule, and they have San Francisco, and then they close out at Kansas City. But one of the questions we posed on Twitter was, where do we think the Diamondbacks, where do we think they're going to go in the postseason? Because it's evident when you got 6 games as a magic number and you're playing the Padres, the Marlins, and the Giants, you're probably going to win at least 6 of those games, in my opinion, based on the way they're playing. But the question was, how far are they going to go in the playoffs? And Harley, do we have the results? What are the results for that question?
We do indeed. Let me pull them up right quick.
Yep. So the options were, the question was, how far are the Diamondbacks going to go in the postseason? The options were the wild card, the NLDS, the NLCS, or the World Series. And so help me, if this was the World Series, if World Series is what wins, there's some delusional fans out there, because no way the Diamondbacks are making the World Series. What is it, Harley?
So we got 25 votes on the poll, and the World Series came in second place.
Okay.
The popular vote went to the NLDS with 40%.
That's appropriate. Whoever.
That's appropriate.
So it's the World Series. Can we please be real, Eliav? Really?
Yeah, no.
Really?
No.
Over the Cubs, the Dodgers, the Nationals? Are we? Whatever. Who cares? But the Diamondbacks are playing good ball in all seriousness. Their bullpen is solid. It's stout. Archie Bradley, that dude is something else. Coming in with his intro song. I asked him. I was interning with Fox Sports Arizona over the summer. I went up to him in the locker room and I was like, "Why public service announcement for your walk-in song?" He's like, "Allow me to reintroduce myself." His role in transition to the bullpen is what said, you know what? I got to redefine myself. I'm a starting pitcher. I'm a converted to the bullpen. And boy, has he been something else for the Diamondbacks in that bullpen, man. I'm excited to see what the Diamondbacks can do.
Yeah, and along with him, Robbie Ray has been really nice for the D-backs.
You saw when he got hit in the head with the line drive, right?
Yeah.
And he's pitching. He came back a few weeks later.
Yeah. And he has a whole nother mentality. He has a whole nother mentality, man. You can really see that he is just hyped up when he goes out there every single time. And he really believes, no matter who they're playing, that they're going to get that win. And that's what you need out of a guy like Robbie Ray. And he's good. He's going to be a force in this postseason. Watch out for him.
The Astros and the Nationals clinched their respective divisions. So the Astros, they won the AL West by a pretty decisive factor. The Rangers, I thought the Rangers were going to win the AL West this year, but the Rangers they've fallen. They traded Lucroy. They got rid of Darvish. The Rangers just fell. But back on the Astros. This team, Carlos Correa, Jose Altuve, George Springer. We can just sit here and gloss over all the positives that the Astros have. And this team, man, they won 4 straight, clinched the division. They are threats when it comes to the AL. They are the top threat besides the Indians. It's the Indians and the Astros. No,
absolutely. And you could tell that the Astros season kind of took a little bit of a turn after that crazy, when they were on fire for the longest time and so good. Best team in baseball to start the season. But then when they lost Altuve, that took kind of a turn.
Of course.
Obviously. And then you felt it, though. You really felt it because it had a ripple effect almost.
Yes.
Because the team as a whole, it really started to drop off. But they built themselves enough of a cushion. They regained momentum, and now look where they are. Mm-hmm. So, like you said, we're about to see what they're made out of in the most important time of the year.
And speaking of the Nationals, by the way, I'm not surprised at all. The Mets weren't even close this year. Some thought the Mets pitching would get them there, but I'm not surprised. The Nationals are their pitching staff is too good. But before we take a break, Bryce Harper is close to returning. He took BP yesterday. He had that nasty knee injury where he stepped on the base. Looked like he busted up his knee when he stepped on the base and was slippery because of the rain. Thank goodness that ACL wasn't torn for Nationals fans.
Ooh.
Because Bryce Harper, we don't need to sit here and talk about the impact that Bryce Harper has because it's just given.
And talk about the $400 million contract he's looking for.
Do you think
that would have been down the drain?
Do you think it's going to be for where do you think he could go? That's a legit question.
He might stay. I mean, I think he'll probably stay, honestly, even though there are obviously going to be people going for him. Yankees.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think he'll probably stay. I really do. I think he enjoys that organization at the end of the day.
There were reports that the Cubs were looking at him, and he said he might be interested in the Cubs.
Ooh, if he goes anywhere, I mean, that changed the landscape of the league. That's just going to be so fun to watch.
Man, Bryce Harper, 24 years old, a superstar. Love me some Bryce Harper. Boy, do I love me some Bryce Harper. The Weston DeWitt Show with Eliav Gabay here on Blaze Radio and streaming live on blazeradioonline.com. We're going to close out the show next segment. We got a bunch of other things to discuss, and that includes Canelo and Triple G. What'd you guys think? It was a draw. Give me a break. The Weston DeWitt Show with Eliav Gabay here on Blaze Radio and blazeradioonline.com. Don't go anywhere.
Shake, 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 shake.
Don't sing. Now it's my turn. Shake it off. Let it play. Taylor Swift, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Weston DeWitt Show with Eliav Gabay. Welcome back. Thank you for starting your Monday here with us on a high note, starting your week off on the right note, we should say. We appreciate you guys. Thank you for the phone calls. We will get to Harley's Hot Topics and social media here in about 9 minutes or so. But in the meantime, there is a story that's percolating around just sports, but in the NHL specifically, and it pertains to Alex Ovechkin, forward extraordinaire for the Washington Capitals. He was very public about his desire to go play in the 2018 Olympics. But now, as of 3 days ago, he has decided to concede, and he will not be going to the 2018 Olympics because, for those who do not know, Commissioner Gary Bettman overruled and just came to the decision that he did not want NHL players to be playing in the Olympics. So, as a result, he sent a very heartfelt statement through social media, and some of it includes me, my teammates, and all the players who want to go all lose. So all the fans of hockey with this decision, we're not allowed to be invited NHL players in the Olympics, is good for hockey and good for the Olympics. It sucks that we will not be there to play. And,
come on. Are you serious?
Yeah.
What about any other sport that sends their players out to...
How would you feel if the NBA didn't send players over there?
Yeah, exactly. Like if they went back to only the best college students, which is how it used to be. But that's ridiculous. I understand the fear. I mean, but come on. Like, you won't have any NH. Like, okay, maybe not your top tier. Fine, if you want to pick and choose a couple, but like not sending LeBron James or not sending Steph Curry, not sending the superstars where a lot of, but no one.
I can understand, like, if it's Alex Ovechkin, I can live with it. If it's Sidney Crosby, I can live with it. But you can't send zero. And I understand. One of the biggest upsets, 1980, was the U.S. over the Soviet Union. Bunch of college kids from Minnesota, Wisconsin, Boston University, all conversing together to play under Herb Brooks. But look, this ain't the 1980s anymore. This is 2017. It's going to be 2018. You need to sell this thing. And you're not going to sell much hockey if you ain't getting much NHL players. You're just not going to do it.
In other words, unfortunately, Ovechkin's going to have to shake it off.
Good pun there. Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin. One of the big stories over the weekend, the mega fight at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Ladies and gentlemen, it ended in a draw after a very, very competitive fight. It was not boring, Eliav. It was not a boring fight. These two delivered. They promised a good fight. Oscar De La Hoya, promoter extraordinaire for Golden Boy Promotions, promised an entertaining fight.
It was fantastic.
We got one.
Fantastic.
But there is a judge who scored the fight. I can't, Audrell Bird, I believe is her name, or his, I'm not sure. But one of the judges, that person had 118 to 110 for Canelo Alvarez.
Don't know how they came to that conclusion.
So the only reasoning I can think of is Canelo was along the ropes. See, Canelo was along the ropes all night long.
Yeah.
He was not attacking. Canelo did not do a good job of attacking Golovkin. And I understand. You don't want to go at a guy.
But that was a fighting style.
No, it was a style, yeah.
That was his strategy.
Yeah, and I understand. Gennady Golovkin, 33 knockouts and 37 wins. I get it. I wouldn't want to step in front of him either. But at the same time, every time it happened, Canelo was kind of running around the ring every now and then. I don't blame Canelo Alvarez. I don't want to make it seem like I'm disrespecting him. But at the same time, to have this a draw and give Canelo Alvarez much less 118 to 110, and we picked Alvarez to win. But
I think that if I had to pick one, I think maybe Triple G probably won by a hair.
No, I have to give it to Golovkin too.
But at the same time, Canelo did a great job in the second half of that fight to build back up. GGG definitely was winning in the beginning, but then Canelo really, he got some nice shots in there. He had a ton of body shots.
Yeah. But
I saw what he was doing with that strategy up against the ropes and letting GGG kind of responding.
Yeah. And I thought the strategy was okay. I expected Canelo to attack him more. That's just what I thought. But looking at the copy box numbers, 169 total punches for Canelo, 218 for Golovkin. And total jabs, 108 jabs for Golovkin, 55 for Canelo. Power punches, Alvarez did outbeat Golovkin in that one by 4 punches, 114 to 110. So when you look at the copy box numbers,
which is what I expected, by the way, Canelo to get him on the power punch.
It's in favor of Gennady Golovkin. And this fight, everybody's kind of saying, oh, it's bad for boxing because it comes off as a bad rap when you do a tie or a draw in sports. You guys know how we stand with ties. They suck.
Yeah.
And whether it's a draw in boxing or a tie in the NHL or a tie in basketball, tie in baseball, it doesn't matter. There are no ways that a tie should be involved in any sport whatsoever. Soccer, there should be no ties. None.
Well, thank God there's no ties in basketball.
Yeah,
or baseball for that matter, unless
NFL, there's no
postponed.
None. Like the rule, and a draw.
But I will say this: if there was ever a draw, and you know how much I hate ties and draws, Weston, but if there was ever a draw, this was that fight. It was that close to me. It was that close where it could have been a draw, and I think that. Most of the time, I would never say that, but it's simple as that. This was it. This was the one that could have been the draw.
While I agree with you, the biggest problem, and I think everyone had the problem with, was the Canelo Alvarez 118-110. I think that's just what set everybody over the top. But well done by both fighters. They gave us a very entertaining fight and well worth the money. And boy, oh boy, I'd love to see me a rematch.
Oh, absolutely.
And it should be coming.
All right, so let's transition into Champions League. It got started off, and let's look at the points off the bat. Manchester United's going to be leading the Group B with going up against Moscow is also in there. Benfica''s in there. Basil's in there. They're up 3 points up right now. And then in Group C, there is that was Group A. Group B is Paris Saint-Germain, Bayern Munich, Celtic, and Anderlecht. Great group right there. Mm-hmm. And PSG is up just shellacking of Celtic. And then Group C, Chelsea, Atletico Madrid, Roma, Qarabag. Now 3 points, Chelsea leading that. 1 point for Atletico Madrid, 1 for Roma. Then Group D, Barcelona, Sporting CP. I always have trouble with this name. Olympiacos, and Juventus. Juventus start off against Barca. That was a game that a lot of people were looking at. And Barca and Messi, 2 goals against Buffon.
Wow.
First time he's ever scored on him. Scored on him twice.
Wow.
Now, 3 points. 3 points for Sporting CP and 0 for each of the other guys. Mm-hmm. Sevilla FC in Group E, along with Spartak Moscow, Liverpool, and Maribor. 1-1-1-1-1, all down the list. Group F, Manchester City, Donetsk, Napoli, and Rotterdam. 3 points for Manchester City, 3 points for Donetsk, and 0 everyone else. Group G, Monaco, Porto, Leipzig, and Besiktas. 3 points for Besiktas, and they're leading that. And then Group H, Real Madrid,
There you
the
go.
Tottenham Hotspur, and Dortmund with Nicosia. That's a really, really nice group as well. Real Madrid and Tottenham Hotspurs leading that one. So there's a quick update on everything going on with Champions League.
That's crazy. The amount of groups in this thing is ridiculous.
Oh, yeah, no, you're really trying to dwindle down the best in Europe.
Yeah, and absolutely. And real quick, Harley's Hot Topics. Congratulations to Luke Rockhold. He did defeat David Branch. Many know him. 199 lost to Bisping. I would like to see him fight the winner of GSP and Bisping at 217. But Rockhold, good victory for him. After a 15-month layoff, it was good to see him back in the octagon.
Everything trending on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and more. Get ready for Harley's Hot Topics and social media. All right, guys, so I'm going to get through these first couple really quickly because something is happening right now that people just discovered, and you guys are going to lose your minds, I promise.
Oh, boy.
We'll start with Isaiah Thomas and Amir Johnson kind of going at it. Amir Johnson posted an Instagram picture, caption, "Trust the process," and Isaiah Thomas in short said, "Forget that process." And Amir Johnson replied and said, "The process will be complete before you win a ring." Isaiah Thomas shot back and said, "You don't even believe that. We winning a ring this year. LOL."
LOL.
Crucial.
Yeah, right. And then Darren Ravel took a picture of posted a picture of a customized Raiders jersey, Marquette King, the punter.
Right.
And the caption was him, "What jersey should I put on?" "Ah, yes, the punter." And Marquette King saw this and quoted it and said, "Hell yeah, what's the problem?" Got all kinds of retweets and likes on that, of course. Joel Embiid, always a social media guy. He tweeted, "Damn, Young Hoku definitely ain't Ku no Mo."
I saw that.
Because of, he's had those kicks blocked. Blake Bortles lost internet Wi-Fi because of storm. "You forget how bad that stinks. I played darts by myself yesterday for an hour and a half." Someone quoted this tweet and said, "That poor wall."
I saw that.
And then this account, our account, ran a poll asking if Conor McGregor returned to the UFC, who would he want to fight next? And Nate Diaz was the winner with 68% of the vote.
Oh, yeah.
And lastly, the story we've all been waiting for. So there's a story going around now that KD has a plethora of Twitter accounts and Instagram accounts because someone tweeted at KD yesterday and said, "Man, I respect you, but give me one legitimate reason for leaving OKC other than getting a championship." And Kevin Durant's official account tweeted back, he didn't like the organization or playing for Billy Donovan. His roster wasn't that good. It was just him and Russ. He went on and said, "Imagine taking Russ off that team, see how bad they were. KD can't win a championship with those cats." So based on this, it's kind of obvious that it wasn't KD. This wasn't meant to be on his official Twitter account. So adding to this, KD apparently has this private Instagram page, which is somewhat irrelevant till you look at it, and this Instagram account is beefing with other people arguing for Kevin Durant. So apparently Kevin Durant just feels the need to defend himself while not being himself.
Oh my God. Okay.
Wait, so it is him acting as not him.
Yes.
Whoa.
The Instagram account's username is a street that he grew up right next to. It's called Choir Sultan, and they're right next to where KD grew up. It's crazy stuff.
What the heck? That's so weird.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say to that.
That is funny. I wonder where this goes. Is that even allowed? Like, is he
right?
Why is he doing this? I thought he didn't care.
Exactly.
Exactly. So many questions.
I mean, this ain't just for headlines. I mean, I don't think he's doing it just for what is going on? Are they a hacker? I don't know what the heck's going on here. Unbelievable. Just absolutely unbelievable. Kevin Durant. Wow. The Weston DeWitt Show with Eliav Gabay here on Blaze Radio and streaming live on BlazeRadioOnline.com. Thank you for starting your Monday off here on a high note with us. We hope you guys have a good week. God is good. Too blessed to be stressed. We will see you next week. Till then, Eliav Gabay and I are out. See ya.
To yank they on it, pose like I would do them all. Now I'm saying thank you because they tell me my